Hi guys, how you all doing? I hope you're doing great. Maria Borde here. Most of the time when you meet someone who is an autism parent, you know they have one child with autism. So you can well imagine the face when you meet someone for the first time and you tell them, well, actually I have 3 autistic kids. Their face kind of like the eyes go big and they just do not know what to say. So for me, it's actually quite common and normal because that's what I know. So in this video, I just wanted to share with you what it's like raising 3 autistic children, because that's a question I get to ask a lot. If it's difficult, if it's really hard, how do you do it? Some of the things that people tell me. I have 2 children who I mentioned in another video are very good with verbal communication. And then I have my middle one who is the one that struggles the most with verbal communication, but he can communicate in other ways as well. So how do we deal with that? Well, to be honest, as now they are a little older, one is 11 and the other one is 13 and the oldest one is already legally an adult, things are a little easier, I would say. When they were younger, things were really difficult, I must be honest. There were times that they were not sleeping through the night. We had very strict routines that we must follow. If we were out and one of them saw a fly, they would start crying and had a huge meltdown. I would say as they got older, they evolved. That's the best way I can describe it. They changed a lot. It meant that if we could not go to a certain place or a certain activity, they did not have to have a meltdown. We were able to explain. But it did not happen overnight. They have to learn actually the concept of time, the concept of days, and that took a long time. I would say that when they were younger, it was really difficult. Now as they got older, I'm not saying that all the challenges are just gone away. As they get older, their challenges, evolve to a different nature. So those are some of the challenges that we are now facing. But I would say that the issues with the sleeping, the issues with meltdowns, they decrease significantly as they got older. So our oldest one, when he was around 7 or 8 years old, is when he started talking. So just imagine a 7 or 8-year-old now starting to talk. At the beginning, he couldn't say anything. There were huge meltdowns when he was younger. And it reached a point where I really thought that he will never be able to do a lot of things. And it's not that I was, losing hope in him, but seeing a child who's almost 8 years old not talking, you start wondering, is this going to be permanent? Is this going to be just a phase? What will happen to my child in the future? Those are real concerns that parents have all the time. As a mom, I was very worried, and I was not working at the time, so my full attention was on him. And I decided to homeschool. And when we decided to homeschool, things have changed. Now, I remember when he was younger, he really did not like to do much work. Or what I mean by that is reading and writing and doing the things that most children do in a regular school. Just like Dr. Temple Garden said about gentle push, that's what I did with our oldest son, and he was able to blossom. Not only he was able to start talking and full sentences, he was able to read his first book within a year period. And he developed a love for reading. It's a love that I try to encourage a lot, because I believe reading is really helpful. As he got older, he started reading more, he was able to communicate better. And then now at the age of 19, you will never guess that he had any sort of a speech delay. None whatsoever. It's more, he uses a lot of words that I don't know the meaning and I have to go and look in the dictionary. He finished secondary school with great grades, and he's now looking into getting experience in a job environment. So, looking back and thinking about, wow, at 18-year-old who's now learning to talk, and now at 19, you will never guess it's the same child. This is one of the reasons I do what I do with these videos, because I know what it's like to feel that your child might not be able to accomplish X or Y. Now, for a middle one who is 13 years old, he is very different in temperament of the other 2. The other 2 tend to be a little hyper, very talkative. He's more quiet and mellow. He's very caring. He is great with computers, and most autistic children are really good with computers. He can make his own YouTube videos, animations, and be able to use a computer better than I do, to be honest. He still struggles with verbal communication. He has improved a lot. He's now speaking in sentences. For example, before, when we used to take him to the grocery or out, he will not relate to people. You know, he will see you next to him and he will not really look at you or do anything like that. He will actually not acknowledge your presence at all. But now things have changed. You know, we start seeing that he actually relates to people, he looks at them, he wants to talk to them, and that has been a tremendous progress for him. He does a lot of chores around the house. He sets the table, he makes his own bed, he helps with the grocery, he packs groceries. Anything that around the house that we need help with, he is willing to help, and he's very good at it as well. So if your child might be not very good with verbal communication, don't limit him or limit her by saying, you know, oh, he or she cannot do it. They can do it, and you have to keep working hard. Now, our youngest, who is the baby at the home, and I say the baby because he's really spoiled. Whatever he wants, he gets, and that's because he's the baby. He is very talkative. He loves to learn new things. He loves to talk about the universe. He is also vegan like myself, and like his father, they're also vegan. And he really cares about the animals. He loves to talk about veganism and loves to talk about animal rights. He loves to hear stories. He's extremely lovable and caring. He really wants to relate to people as well and try to do the best he can, you know, and he's very smart. The three of them are very smart and they are capable. And this is one of the reasons that I do what I do. You can really make a situation worse by just focusing on everything that goes wrong. I believe happiness is a choice based on the way you think, and it starts in the way you think. So yes, you won't see me here all depressed. I did have my moments, I'm not going to lie to you and said, oh, I have always been happy. It has not been like that for me in my experience. However, I always thought about my children like any other child, because I do believe they have the potential to be the best they can be. And I know your child can achieve the same thing, and every child can achieve the same thing. I'm sure you have your experiences. So if you like to share it, please leave a comment in the section below. Tell me about you so we can get to know each other and help each other with some tips and ideas. So thanks for watching.